Should we how long have you been sitting here, by the way?
3 minutes.
Okay, well, you're new.
6 days.
6 days? Can we just all stand up and move our body or something? Yeah, I'm from LA, okay? Bitches, this is what you get. All right. Just a little move. I think we need to move our bodies. Come on, or just stretch. All right, fine, don't do it. Yes, a little move, just stretch. I feel like in order to take in information and to enjoy it, you got to have your blood moving through your body. Exactly. I'm Shira Lazar. I'm the founder of What's Trending. I've been covering digital culture and social media trends for almost 2 decades and bringing, media and content to emerging tech. So it's really cool to be here as this space is growing and building. I also have been moving into the Web3 space as a consultant and advisor. I host Twitter Spaces, specifically one where some women have been in the space. Women in Web3 Weekly I've been doing on Twitter Space every Wednesday. If some of you have been in there, I encourage you to follow me to check it out and join in. I also do Alpha Mondays. So if you have any projects you're working on or any mints coming up, join us on Alpha Mondays with Brian Fanzo, who has a great NFT podcast as well. That said, we have a great group of folks here today. We're talking about mass adoption. So we'll do a little convo and then open it up to questions as well. So let's start the introductions from here.
Hello, my name is Luke Stokes. I'm the managing director for something called the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability, or we support the FIO protocol, basically trying to make all cryptocurrency easier to use, kind of like PayPal, Venmo, giving it a human experience. I've been in the space for over 9 years, very passionate about DAX and DAOs and governance and different governance models, and really had a company for 10 years doing e-commerce, and we implemented blockchain, and it was too hard to use, so that's my passion right now.
We have one mic, so maybe we'll share mics. Awesome.
Hey everyone, my name is Manasi Vora. I am the VP of Strategy and Operations at Skynet Labs. If you're not familiar with us, we do decentralized data storage and application hosting. Been in the space for 5 years. I also founded Women in Blockchain, which is a nonprofit to increase diversity in the space, which is super important. And through that, launched an investment DAO. So we invest in female founders in the crypto space. So really passionate about this technology and the impact that it can make.
I am loving the trend of the intros. My name is Michelle, and I am an educator at heart. I care a lot about diversity and inclusion and equity, and I currently hold 2 roles. So one, I work with a project called Metagood, and we have an NFT collection called On-Chain Monkeys, which mission is around bridging social good and NFTs. And I also founded Web3 Equity, which is around onboarding more women into Web3, which specifically doesn't call out women in the title because the role of onboarding more women is both for women and men. So it's around bringing equity in Web3 with all of us involved.
Awesome, thank you. I'm Frank Brinkkemper. I'm a product manager at Oasis.app, and we're becoming the most trusted place to deploy your capital into DeFi. So we're trying to also get retail into DeFi, and that's our goal.
So when we talk about the road to mass adoption, you can still go on a lot of platforms, and if my mom went on some of your sites, she'd still be like, "What? I do not get these words and all that." So with that said, how are you each looking to change that? Because it needs to be something that we all get, but also the typical consumer needs to understand it too. How are you each approaching that?
That's actually the core of what we're trying to accomplish. If you haven't noticed, in this space, there's a lot of engineers building tools for other engineers. And if you're looking at like an NFT and they say, well, how do I know it's yours? Well, go to Etherscan and see all this crazy gobbledygook of contract addresses and big complicated hashes. And most people, that's just not something they're going to be accepting. And so with a human readable expression, a human readable address, the crypto handle that we're doing with FIO Protocol, trying to get that into more wallets, more exchanges, more NFT platforms, I think it's something more palatable and it's more friendly. Someone understands they have a login to a website or a login to their bank account. Well, what's their login to crypto? And how do we do that in a decentralized, self-sovereign way? Because I think central bank digital currencies and the other centralized solutions kind of give that usability, but they sacrifice decentralization. And it's kind of a problem because then you get away from the entire point of all of this, the self-sovereign nature of value. So I think a big part of it is focusing on usability, and a lot of projects unfortunately don't really do that because they're just swamped. They have so many people coming in, they can barely keep their servers running, and so usability is like way back there. So I think a focus on usability is going to be really important, especially in the next handful of years. We have about 1 billion users coming to crypto, and they're just not going to be able to do much with the existing tools. So we're out there trying to help with that, and we're trying to educate people on the importance of usability, because I got into this more than 9 years ago for money for the unbanked. This was supposed to be not a rich person's only club like it is now, the engineers and the people that have enough money for gas fees and things like that. So my hope is, as we think about making it simpler, we're going to have more people have access to these systems.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people here are aware of the Tesla master plan that Elon Musk wrote at the beginning of Tesla, where he was like, first we're going to build a car, the Roadster, that's going to be a really expensive car. Then we're going to use that money that we got from the car to build a cheaper car, and then we're going to use that money to build an even cheaper car. And we're taking, at Oasis.app, we're taking the same route in the sense that right now, Ethereum layer 1 is hella expensive. But we're focused on it, and we have our users on it. And so our master plan is first build an awesome product for Ethereum L1, then use that money to build a product so that more people can access it on Ethereum L2, and then after that, build an even more accessible product using traditional finance institutions to get people through those institutions into DeFi without the same hurdles that you have in DeFi right now with setting up wallets and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the route that we're taking personally.
And what stage are you at right now?
So we're at the first stage, but actually this year we will be expanding into L2s as well. Right now we're mostly a front end to the Maker protocol, so you can generate DAI at our website. And we will be following the Maker protocol onto the various L2s that are out there.
So I am not an engineer. I am not actually building one of these things that we're talking about, but I think one of the things I would love to hear and love for folks who are building to think a lot more about is who they're building for and what the proximity is to that audience. So I think there's a lot of folks who are onboarding into this space right now who maybe are not, can't claim that they bought Bitcoin, whatever, 10 plus years ago. They haven't been in this space for a long time. They don't have degrees from MIT and they aren't technologists. And one of the main headaches is Discord, for example. Well, Discord was built for gamers, wasn't actually built for all of us to be able to be talking about what projects we like. So a lot of the things that we don't like about it is because it wasn't built for us. So the products that we are building right now, I think that we have some incredible brains and group in this room right now, but if your grandma and your mom and your niece and the teacher and who you might sit next to in church or whatever else you do on the weekend, if they don't understand how to use your product, like that's the proximity gap that I would hope to fill and help, fill currently in my role with the Metagood team and On-Chain Monkey in thinking about how we interface with the broader community, how do we educate and how do we onboard people, because I don't actually see the level of ease of use for the mass adoption that we're talking about.
Yeah, agree with all of that. I think we also need to ask who's our target audience, right? Sometimes it's just developers and it's okay to have a technical product. If it's a consumer-facing product, yes, we need that kind of usability. I think the crypto space has come a long way since the early days where you had to download the blockchain and figure out how to run a node and know how to acquire cryptocurrencies. At least, I can give the example of how we approached it at Saya and Skynet. So Saya is a decentralized blockchain or like storage protocol, which you had to literally download the blockchain, acquire Saya coins to start using it, to start storing your data. And then we launched layer 2, which is Skynet. Essentially, with Skynet, it's web-based application. You go on the website and you start uploading your data without needing any kind of blockchain knowledge or cryptocurrency information. And I think I would love to see a world where cryptocurrency reaches, or like blockchain technology reaches that stage where people are using it and getting the benefit out of it without even knowing, how it works.
Yeah, I see that a lot too. Like Origin Protocol just launched for the NFT space. There's TokenFi. I do see it being like Squarespace for these things, right? Is there worry about the security when it becomes like a Squarespace-esque type of system, where it becomes so simple and so consumer facing that it takes away the things that protect people?
Well, actually, we're going to be launching a dashboard project, which is very similar, a web-based experience for interacting with the FIO protocol. And one of the things we worked with, Paul from Edgewall is on our board, and he's got a great process where the backend API uses your login and password to encrypt your seed phrase, and then from there it creates a recovery system that people are used to in Web 2, like, hey, I lost my password, I need to recover it. So there's recovery questions that are hashed, the answers that are hashed, it's all completely anonymous. They don't even know your public key, let alone your private key, but you have a way to get back if you lose your information. So I think those are really interesting ways, so we can have a web experience that's fully non-custodial, meaning there's not a custodian managing your funds that could take it away from you, or a central point of failure, a point of attack. And I like to see those kind of hybrid models that are coming out. But you make a really important point that if we sacrifice the entire point, Byzantine fault tolerance, that's a complicated way to say it's immutable, meaning nobody can change it, it's really secure. If we sacrifice that by centralization, we kind of defeat the whole purpose. I mean, really, as an engineer, you can just have a database and a network and it'll be much more efficient than blockchain. So there are ways that we have to focus on our kind of what I call our sovereign rights in blockchain, things that matter to us most, and then still focus on usability. Quick example that I thought was fun, I got to go on some delegations to El Salvador, Honduras, and Panama, and recently St. Kitts and Nevis with Brock Pierce and some others. And at one point, we're kind of an after party, and there's a dozen people in the room, and I said, well, hey, everyone go to this website and then go to WhatsApp, because they all had WhatsApp. So I didn't have to download anything new. And I onboarded 12 people to crypto simultaneously. They all just shouted out their crypto handle that they got. Oh, I'm so-and-so at Alti. I'm so-and-so at Alti. And I just started flinging them $5 each. And they thought it was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, I just onboarded people simultaneously without them having to give me some complicated hash and public address. And that kind of a thing I want to see more of, but not just like in person, but online and everywhere in between.
It's so interesting you mentioned El Salvador, because we know like governments implementing this creates mass adoption, quote unquote, but that once again, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Because now it just becomes like another government focused project. Right? Does that worry you or concern you, and how do we navigate that? I know this isn't a government-focused panel, but I think it's fascinating. When you're speaking to El Salvador, I have friends going to El Salvador. I know Brock. People are going there like it's like going to Miami every day to work with the president. It's fascinating right now.
Yeah. So. In terms of regulation, I definitely think there should become at least more clear guidelines all across the world, also to get the mass adoption. Because right now I'm from the Netherlands, and the rules in the Netherlands are really bad in the sense that to buy crypto right now in the Netherlands, and you go through a broker, for example, then you have to literally take a screenshot of your wallet, which is open, to show that your public key is yours. So, for example, if you have a MetaMask wallet, you have to be logged into MetaMask, create a screenshot where you see your public key, send that to the broker before you can actually buy crypto with fiat. I mean, how bad is this? This is so stupid, and I see people laughing in the audience, and like every one of us here could come up with better regulation, and I think it's also part of our jobs to educate these regulators to make sure that they don't ruin the rules even further than they already did.
I wanted to answer the question you asked before about decentralization and security, because I think this is a really key focus area as we, bring on hundreds of millions more folks to this world. I mean, I think I have encountered a lot of folks who've accidentally clicked an errant link in Discord, for example, and gotten some of their assets stolen. The first thing they do is, what can I do to reclaim my assets? And some of them have actually, this is not funny, but I've watched them go on Twitter and tag at MetaMask, my items were stolen and can you help me? And then the bots, and the scams reply in the Twitter thread. But we are so used to being able to go to institutions for support and for help when these, when assets have been stolen, and that is not available to us in this decentralized, self-sovereign world. And so I think we have to think about what is the sort of Web3 version of FDIC or some sort of arm that helps in these moments. Is there a world that we can create that is still the ethos of Web3, but allows for the security for an everyday person to feel like if something gets stolen, I'm not just stuck on my own and these things are just completely gone?
I think the only thing I would add is security. I think of it as from 3 different perspectives. One is regulation, just like getting more clarity, having something like FDIC. The second is technical. When you're building your product, the features that you're adding, how secure are you making it for your users so they don't have to go through 100 different steps. And then the third piece is education. How do you educate? Because this is a new paradigm, right? We are used to just calling customer service. We are used to just talking to people at that company, how do I recover my account password? And that's totally a different paradigm in the crypto space where users and people need to be educated. That's not how it works. You are in control of your private key and you need to learn how to save it.
Yeah, if I could also respond to that, I think there's also an opportunity there to make an even more user-friendly or type token. This is just an idea. Maybe there are builders out here who are interested in this idea. Let's call it Whoopsie Die, where it's just die. Only then, if you made a whoopsie, if you accidentally, if your private key got hacked, or if you accidentally sent it somewhere that you didn't mean to. That the sender within 7 days can go to, for example, a Kleros court or some else blockchain type judicial system or some type of blockchain institution where they can go into a dispute process. I think it could help with mass adoption. I'm not sure if any of the incentive structures would make sense, but I think it's an interesting idea at least. So.
I think someone just registered Whoopsie Die at Twitter right now.
I think that's an interesting example. We dealt with a lot of interesting governance challenges when we first launched the EOS network, and we had these things called Ricardian contracts for each interaction with the chain. You had this idea of a court system almost, and it didn't work out very well, unfortunately. The ECAF was a whole set of drama. But one of the things I think we can start with is just obvious mistakes. And I think that could be handled by, again, a user experience that's palatable. We have, for example, a FIO request where you can request funds from someone. Most of the financial space is requested. You can have money show up in your bank account randomly where you're like, where did that come from? I have no idea. It's always there's an order card, there's an invoice, there's something where you're requesting funds from someone. So we've added this as a usability layer to all of crypto, every chain, every token in the wallets that support the protocol. It's like Edge Wallet and Shapeshift and many others. So you can request not only the chain code and token code and the address, the amount with an encrypted memo, but it avoids I sent Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin address. Or I sent USDT on Tron to a USDT on Ethereum address, and now I lost all my money. So simple mistakes that the interfaces could really alleviate. And then the on-chain protocols like this could make sure that I'm reviewing the request. And similarly, we also have NFT signing. So we were talking earlier about identities and ways that we can trust that we're interacting with the right people. The artists can actually sign their NFTs again with a human readable experience. So this always comes back to technology should serve humans. It should make someone's life better. If it doesn't, kind of what's the point? And unfortunately, as an engineer, I'm kind of saying this, as engineers, we often build stuff that we need as engineers, but they're just not very friendly, so they don't improve people's lives as much as they could.
So I know we have till 4:30. This is like speed dating. I have one more question, then we'll go to the audience. So media and celebrity, as we know, have so much influence on mass adoption. How will media companies adopt these technologies, or are you thinking about how you work with media and celebrity to tell your stories.
Shout on that one. So I've been also part of this. Do you guys remember the Steemit blockchain? And now it's the Hive blockchain. Show of hands, I'm curious if anybody's. So I joined that in 2016, really passionate about media on the blockchain. So this is censorship resistant, immutable content, which is really exciting and interesting. And it was very interesting there, especially because the chain got taken over, it got attacked, essentially. It was a civil attack on the chain. CZ got lied to by Justin Sun and all kinds of drama. And they used Binance tokens to outvote all the BPs. And yeah, it was interesting. But the conversations that started about the idea that even our censorship-resistant media on the blockchain could be attacked. But then, of course, the community responded, created Hive, and all my content's safe. I also work with a company called Roundtable Media, where we're looking at using blockchain technology in media so that if somebody says something, it can't be censored if it's true, or at least having good conversations. So I think in terms of where everything is going, and we're seeing stuff going on in Canada and all this drama about your political views can be weaponized and used to attack you even financially, and they're shutting down bank accounts and things like that. I think there's a combination of the stories being told about blockchain and media and the tools we're using to tell those stories, meaning the tools themselves are all also using blockchain media and blockchain technology. I think that's important. I think they go one in the same. So you can support people that are maybe not politically accepted in their area, but having an important conversation, and know that their content and their funding isn't going to be taken away from them. So it's a huge responsibility now. As you probably know, there's a Bitcoin obituary of 440 something times that Bitcoin died from the mainstream media. They always write these big articles, Bitcoin's dead, and well, clearly not, but they keep getting it wrong. So I think we also need to hold accountable our media representatives, and with upvoting, downvoting, things you can do on the blockchain.
Yeah, and I think just generally media influencers, it's the same, with any industry, any technology. Like, they are the ones creating narratives, and how do we engage them to create narratives that are more appropriate for the industry, right? Do we want this industry to come across as a scam, which it does sometimes, and how do we mitigate that? But also, they are examples for other people. If an artist out there has a huge following and then talks about NFT, helping them monetize their music or whatever they are working on, I think that legitimizes the industry, and that's super important. But even beyond media, I think institutions coming into this space legitimizes the space a lot. For example, Robinhood, Cash App, Venmo, adding crypto. And I know we hate institutions in the crypto space, but I think those are just entry point for a lot of people. That's just the first step. And then once they see the value of crypto and this technology, hopefully they can start using the decentralized versions and applications that are out there.
Yeah, I think also, indeed, what you say, the media is often, especially at the end of the bear market, at the end of the bull market, saying all of crypto is a scam and stuff like that. And while they are the ones who, at the start of the bull market, are saying, "Oh, number go up, oh, number go up, oh, number go up." So everyone is following all these news outlets and investing due to that they see number go up, and then number was a scam. Oh, what do I do now? Yeah. So I think there's also, again, on the education part, I think a lot more people in crypto could say. Which are the scams? Because there are some open scams in crypto. I mean, Bitcoin SV. I hope I'm not saying bad things here, but that's a really open scam, and there are other really open scams in crypto.
It's be like Snopes for crypto.
Yeah, yeah.
They should have the division.
Yeah, something like that, and then there are the gray area. I think I'm also not. It's also not strange if I say Ripple is in the gray area, even though a lot of retail invests in Ripple. So yeah, should we educate them? I think so, but yeah, who's doing it? I don't see anyone. Also not myself, by the way, but yeah.
The last thing I would say is I think we haven't found a killer application for mass adoption yet, and that's fine. I think we are still in the early stages of building this technology and applications. There are various use cases, but a lot of them still tend towards either speculation trading or raising money. And I would love to, work with everyone in the industry to identify use cases that really resonate with everyday users.
Quick example of that. I was at the MAG conference in Atlanta earlier this week. It's the Merchant Advisory Group, and there's just like 60-something% of all the transactions go through this group of people with their technologies, like Bank of America and JP Morgan, stuff like that. And there was one session on crypto, and about half the room raised their hand for owning crypto, which I was really surprised about. I was like, wow, that's pretty incredible. These are kind of old guard people, but they're into crypto. And then they said, how many of you have used crypto to buy something? I was like, crickets, like almost no hands going up. And I thought that was kind of funny because we're trying to make transacting with crypto easier, and it's a little too early. Nobody cares.
That's interesting. All right, let's go to questions. We have, yes, you. Oh, wait, Mike, here, one of the mics, since we are live streaming on Twitch, I believe. Hi, Twitch.
Hi, everyone. I think one of the more fundamental problems with crypto that, like, the ordinary people are going to complain about, like my own family, when I explain to them what the blockchain is, and I explain to them all the transactions are on the blockchain, they freak out because now, if you're buying an NFT, it's no big deal. But if I'm buying my groceries, or I'm buying birth control, or I'm buying all of these things that I want to keep private, and it's public, right? Like that's one fundamental thing that we don't even think about, that people's expectations of my money, the things that I buy, is going to be private. Ironically, I think there's actually an opportunity for traditional banks to be intermediaries, but then it's money laundering in a way. But they need to figure it out. But I think there's an opportunity there. And the other thing is that one of the reasons why we don't buy anything is because, frankly, the gas fees are so high. I had trying to convince someone to buy a .eth address for $5, and then you have to spend $70 on gas fees. Like that, we talk about third world, and we talk about, unbanked, and but moving one penny from one address to another, right? So we really desperately need to figure this stuff out technically. And, this is the reason why it doesn't even make sense to move things cheaper than $1,000 on the main blockchain, much less, and there's second, second layers and all of that stuff. But I think those are the kind of fundamental problems, is that there isn't privacy, and it's very expensive.
So I don't know if you have any answers about that, because people are going to be going on other blockchains if that's the case, right? I know we're at an Ethereum conference, but does that worry other people adopting that? I mean, at this point, it's so mainstream, but what does Ethereum do to solve this, or what do developers do? Anyone? No?
I think Frank kind of touched on it earlier with the example from Tesla, meaning it's going to be difficult, and that's just early. Like the internet was early in the 90s, very difficult to use, and it got better over time. But I personally don't like that answer as much because I want it to be easy now. There are people in Africa and stuff where a whole village needs one phone to be a bank for the whole. I mean, that's why Gunnin is money for the unbanked, but now it's kind of rich person's only club, right? So we're getting there. I think there's L2s. I think DAG is interesting, directed acyclic graph. There's a project called Waterfall. That foundation's interesting, exploring that. We can be an EVM that's a DAG. So it might not even be blockchain, it might be post-blockchain tech that solves this. But ultimately, if it's cheap and fast, you're sacrificing decentralization or something else. So it's a very difficult problem they have to solve. And as far as the privacy, I think there are many chains, Monero and others, that are doing privacy. There's even some L2s that are using zero-knowledge proofs to actually have your DeFi be private. So it's getting there as well. But I think most people don't realize how not private everything you're doing right now is anyway. Every single credit card statement is breaking down to exact categories of what you're spending it on, and often cases not even de-anonymized, which crypto at least is.
Awesome. We have time for one more quick question.
Yeah, one thing I would add is maybe not everything needs to happen with one coin or cryptocurrency, right? Like Ethereum might be a use case for non-private transactions, and then there is another cryptocurrency that you use for private transactions, and another one for smaller payments, so that you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars in gas fees. I am getting really bullish on like multi-chain ecosystem, where each ecosystem focuses on a use case and a niche, and I don't think one thing solves all or a winner takes all is the right way to go.
All right, one more quick question.
I have a question. Do you one of inherent properties of blockchain and like the whole culture is openness to create anything, and therefore also as scams. And therefore, don't you think that because of this, like blockchain is inherently hard because you do not need to do your own research, and therefore it is kind of doomed to be niche?
Anyone have answers to that?
I'll get a little more esoteric answer, is that you can think we're in like a consciousness training simulator, and being your own bank takes personal responsibility, and people have to level up their consciousness in order to do that. And at the same time, we want to make it easier. So I think it's both. So is it inherently difficult? Yes. Some people even call that a feature because it keeps old money out. So we get to create new money without them joining in and taking it all. So there's a lot of different ways to think about it. But I actually do think it's essentially a proxy for us becoming more personally responsible and our finances and the way we think about things. Instead of trusting mommy and daddy government and trusting some central authority to make up for all our mistakes, we actually can take personal responsibility. And a blockchain is a tool for that. It's a global nonviolent tool for consensus. That's what a blockchain is. It's a beautiful thing. But it requires us to take a lot of personal responsibility because it's very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, but I think also on a question, I think also this happened with the internet, and with the switch from HTTP to HTTPS, with the signing of certificates. Now, like all the banks have indicators when you're doing transactions, like are you on the actual website? Double check it in the address bar, and maybe we need something like that, but a little more advanced in crypto as well. Where you're indeed validated, where everything is validated, that you are on the right website, that you are transacting with the person you are thinking that you are transacting with. So yeah, I think there are we've just in a half an hour had tons of stuff that we need to work on. So I guess. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you guys. That was amazing.
Okay.
We're gonna.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're gonna do a quick.